Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is your host, Jordan Tremaine, and welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we explore new thoughts, connect ideas, and offer perspectives that may change the way you think about a thing or two. And today, we're going to talk about something I call the want, not want. Okay, so what's up, everybody? In case you hear a fly, I lost my fly swatter, and I don't know what to do about the fly, so he's just going to be a part of today's episode. But hello, how you doing? I had a thought to do some sharing, so today's going to be some show and tell about some stuff I thought about today. And earlier today I was recording the episode that came out last week on labels, and it was pretty difficult for me to record because of how I'm doing today. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the reality of trying to do something like record a podcast or do just anything that you want to do or you said you were going to do or you set out to do. Because I think a lot of times there's a tendency for us as humans to only show the finished product and to only look at all the good stuff that happened or only care about the person that's on the stage at the award show and not really look at all the blood, sweat, and tears and all the failures and the trials and the tribulations that go into actually doing stuff. And it really obscures the humanity of trying to do something. And it can often make us feel like the people who do stuff are just these otherworldly beings who aren't human. They're, he's a professional athlete, that's why he's in shape, or he's lucky that he's athletic, he's lucky that he's smart. It's like, no, they worked really hard to become smart, or worked really hard to become athletic, or create the whatever thing they created, and they went through a lot of ups and downs. And so today I kind of wanted to talk about this concept I just made up today right after the Labels podcast called Want, Not Want. And it's like this thing that happens to me pretty often. Even though I do a lot of stuff, people think that I'm like, there's this idea that I'm very like productive and I'm always running around doing something, or hosting a podcast, or doing the reality chat talk show on Instagram, or hosting events and doing this and that, which is kind of true. But like, I feel like there's this assumption that I just have this motivation to do everything all the time, and I just feel great all the time, and nothing's gonna stop me. And that's not true. I am very rarely motivated to do things with like this inner desire that's like, yay, I'm gonna get up and do all these things every day. I have the ability to honor commitments and to do what I say, but that's not necessarily motivation. I think that's more discipline. And I wanted to explain the process of what I had to do in order to get enough of myself present to record the Labels podcast today, or earlier today. Because I really didn't want to do it, but I know that if I didn't do it today, it wouldn't come out on the correct day, because I wouldn't get around to it. And so I knew I needed to do that podcast today, because I've made this commitment to have a podcast come out every Friday. So, like, basically I woke up this morning and I was like, oh gosh, I know I got to record a podcast today, and I don't want to do that. I was just feeling terrible. I was tired. I woke up and it was hot, and I felt like, when you like wake up and it's hot and you're like sweating and you're already tired from being hot. I woke up like that. I was sore. I felt dehydrated and just like depressed. That's something that happens to me because I get depressed. I'm the type of person that can work through depression. I don't shut down when I get depressed, but that doesn't mean that I don't have that feeling. Like, a lot of times it feels like I'm walking underwater. Like when you're not depressed, you feel like you're walking in the air, so it's easy to move around. But when you are depressed, for me, it can feel like you like wave your hand through the water, and it's much harder to move yourself because the water is thicker than the air. It can feel like that. I feel sluggish and tired. There's this nagging voice in my head like all the time that's like, just lay down, just go to sleep, just eat something, just like and then there's all the negative thoughts from like, as you get older, I think you gain more experiences in life and you make mistakes or things don't go the way you want them to go. And so there's this tendency for your mind to like replay situations that are not good or tell you like, oh, well, what if this would have happened? Oh, you made a mistake. Oh, you're a garbage person. And all these things where your mind can like spiral out of control all the time. Like that happens to me constantly. And I have to like set up reminders to myself to remember that I am not a complete failure and not label myself, which was something that was I was tempted to do this morning, to just label myself as useless or label today as a bad day and not do anything. And so I was in bed, awake, trying to get out of my bed for an hour and a half. And I could have stayed in bed all day, and I wanted to stay in bed all day and just not do anything because I wasn't feeling like doing anything. But I knew that I needed to get up and do stuff, and I didn't want to. And I felt already like a failure at the beginning of the day. And it literally took me an hour and a half to get out of bed. I set my alarm clock usually hours before I need to be somewhere because there's a risk that this happens to me on any day and it takes me over an hour to get out of bed. But I still need to show up to places on time and I need to factor that into my schedule. So I wake up early so that I can go through this depression battle kind of thing and then pull myself out of bed. So I get out of bed today and I still don't want to do anything. So I start watching some TV. And this is like, I'm telling you, I'm doing all these things to try and get myself to a place mentally and physically that I can record a 30-minute podcast, which takes me around 40 minutes to an hour to do. So to do an hour of work that I know I like to do, on some days it's very hard, and I have to do a lot of things to get myself into this space where I can do it. And it's not easy to even get out of bed some days. It's not easy to even sit down and watch TV. I drank coffee when I got out of bed to try and wake myself up. That didn't work. I went to the store to buy some stuff, which I ended up buying some stuff for meal prep, which I needed to do. I typically do that on Sundays. Today's Saturday, so I was like, let me get this chore out of the way. Maybe I'll do something productive and I'll get my productive muscles running so then I can go run my podcast. Get home, that didn't work at all because I still felt like doing nothing. So I watched some more TV. I took a nap because going to the store was a lot. So I took a nap for like 2 hours. But I had the air conditioning on now, so it turned out better because I woke up and it wasn't as hot. Then I went to eat something, and then I felt bloated, so I took another nap. And then I woke up and watched some more TV. After that, I was still feeling terrible. And for whatever reason, I thought that alcohol would help. Because I was like, maybe if I put myself in a different chemical state, then I'll feel different. Because the coffee didn't help. So maybe alcohol will help. Maybe I should be a little more down. I don't know why that made any sense at the time. But that's what I thought. So I drank some whiskey. And then I'm a very lightweight when it comes to drinking. And then I definitely felt a little bit drunk. And then I watched some more TV drunk. But I sobered up pretty good. And I felt a little bit better. And by this time, it was probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm almost done with my day. And I haven't done anything except for like eat half a burrito and drink and sleep and just feel bad. I guess I went to the store. But I'm trying to do stuff to get to this point where I feel good enough to do this podcast, because like that's really the only thing I had to do today, and I'm noticing that I'm avoiding it. I'm not like excited to do it, even though I love doing these podcasts when I'm in a good mood. Today I'm not in a good mood, so it's hard for me to do what I like to do, but I still know that I need to do it. And turns out I unlock the key to today, and the key to today is a peach flavored Red Bull. So after all this sleeping, and my back was hurting too, so I laid on my back on the ground with my feet up in the air for like 30 minutes, so that helped a little bit. Um, but I'm like trying all these things and none of them are working, but I keep trying stuff and I keep eating food and I keep napping and I keep like, because literally every time I try something that doesn't work, I have to go take a nap. Uh, I didn't do any cleaning today. Sometimes that helps, but I get a Red Bull in me, and suddenly I feel it. Like, hey, I feel good enough to be productive, and so I'm like scrambling to like try and set up the podcast setup, which is very simple. But sometimes, if you go listen to the "Anything Worth Doing is Worth Doing Poorly" podcast, sometimes even the littlest bit of setup or the littlest bit of inconvenience or the littlest hindrance to you doing the thing is enough to stop you from even starting. So I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit motivated and like I'm like I gotta take advantage of this. So I'm like I go and get my tripod, I get my microphone, I hook it up to my phone, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I record the episode. And it was great because I was only half done with that Red Bull and I was able to drink the rest of the Red Bull during the episode, so it helped keep me going because I really like that flavor of Red Bull. They did a good job with it. And I also run a YouTube page called All the Things where I do book reviews of books that I read. And I have been reading books but not doing book reviews because I've been depressed for like the last like 6-8 months. And so I read 5 books, but I hadn't done any book reviews because I hadn't felt mentally good enough to do them. One of the things about recording podcasts or doing videos or like doing anything live that's kind of like a performance is the performance isn't as good when you're not there mentally or you're distracted or you're sad or something like that. And sometimes it doesn't matter because you got to go perform because you got to get paid. So you got to go and perform anyways. But when you're doing recording, it's important to be in the right frame of mind. If you've listened to this Perspective podcast for a while, when I first started it, I had to stop and take like 6 months off because I wasn't mentally healthy and I knew I wasn't going to produce quality content. And it took me like 6 months or something like that to start making episodes again. And that's just the reality of it. And I was kind of like that with the book reviews, where I wasn't actually filming the book reviews because I was being sad boy or whatever. But I drank this Red Bull. I was successful in recording the podcast episode about labels, and I was feeling good. The air conditioning was just right. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't too warm. Because when it's too cold, I'm like, oh, let me go turn it off. Oh, but there's a blanket. Let me put the blanket on. Oh, now I'm sitting and there's a blanket, so let me go sleep. And then I waste the day. Or, oh, it's too hot. I feel lazy. Let me turn the AC on. Oh, now it's too cold. Oh, look, there's a blanket. Let me put the blanket on. Now I'm sitting down with a blanket. Let me go to sleep. Wasted the whole day. But lucky for me, I had the AC was dialed. I had just finished a Red Bull. I had a little bit of a high from a success from finally, after all day of trying to motivate myself to do the podcast, I was able to do the podcast. And I was feeling good. And then I was like, oh yeah, I have been slouching on my book reviews. So I was able to do 3 book review videos, which I was very impressed at myself for being able to maintain enough motivation to do a whole podcast and 3 book review videos. And then I was like, cool. I was feeling good, and I was feeling accomplished, and I was finally feeling awake. And that took me all day. It took me from like 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. to build up enough mental fortitude or enough good vibes or enough feeling of competence and confidence to even start. But once I was able to do that, then I was able to record 4 things. And even now, because today is the same day, I'm recording a 5th thing to talk about it. So good for me. I get a week off of being anxious about, oh, I haven't recorded a podcast for next week because I'm doing this one on the want, not want. And the reason I'm calling this the want, not want is because I want to record podcasts. I want to do videos. I want to host events. I want to get out there and do stuff. But then I also don't want to do that because then I have to get up and then I have to put on a smile when I don't feel like smiling, or I have to pay attention to people when I'm feeling like I should be alone. because I like being alone. And I'm not saying that like leave me alone, but I need to go and recharge my social battery sometimes, or sometimes like I feel out of place, or I don't feel welcome, or all these things that go on inside my head that make me anxious, and then I don't want to be places. But I also do want to be places because that's how you meet people, and that's how you have good conversations. That's how you learn stuff and have experiences. So I think a lot of us go through this for different reasons or on different levels inside of ourselves, where there's this battle where you want to go do all these amazing things. You want to go do stuff. You're interested, you're curious, but then there's also all this other stuff that's getting in the way, like you and your depression and your anxiety and you're tired from work because work is exhausting. And even if you know how to do your job and you're competent at it, maybe the people that you work with or the customers you deal with are just terrible, or they were really, really hard to deal with this week. So you're exhausted. So you sit down all weekend and you try to rest and recoup. And you were supposed to go to a concert on Saturday, but since like you had a really hard day on Friday at work, maybe you're like, oh, I'm just too tired to go out. And you don't, even though you want to. And I'm recording this episode because this is a real thing. And it happens to a lot of people. And it happened to me today really hard. And it took me almost 10 hours to get over it. There's times where I want to ride my bike and I'm like, it's Friday and I know I want to ride my bike tomorrow. And I know when I wake up tomorrow on Saturday, I'm not going to want to ride my bike because I'm going to realize what a big ride that I told myself I was going to do the day before. And so to get myself on the bike on Friday, the night before, I have to take a shower and dress up in my cycling clothes and lay my bike out and lay out all my food and fill my water bottles and check my tire pressure and set up everything to make it as easy as possible to get on my bike. And then you know what I have to do? I have to set my alarm for an hour early because I know I'm going to get up and be like, I don't want to go. And it's going to take me an hour to get out of bed. Even though I'm already dressed for it, I'm already showered, I have everything laid out, and I like cycling. But sometimes you want to do something, but you also don't want to do it because of life or because you're a complex individual, and that's okay. And I'm recording this episode to explain that happens to me, and it happened today, and I think it happens to everybody. I hope you have support systems in your life where you have people to support you and talk to you and help you. Like, today would have been a total failure if my mom had not delivered to me a peach-flavored Red Bull. And so shouts out to my mom because I wouldn't have done anything today without that Red Bull. That was the key. That was the key to today. And it was very helpful. And support systems are dope. So make sure you, if you have support systems, be appreciative and help to support other people. And I hope that you can build those over time if they're something that you want to have. But those are very important. Believing in yourself, having that desire, trying different things. I failed to get enough motivation to run a podcast today. Like 10 times with all the little stuff I tried to get myself motivated. I tried to watch like action stuff to get my mind to wake up. I tried taking a nap like 4 times. I don't know why I did that 4 times because it didn't work the first time or the second time, but I kept trying that. I tried eating. I tried drinking alcohol. I tried drinking coffee. I tried like all these different things. I almost tried giving myself a haircut because I was like, maybe I'll feel better about, like, you know, like when you mow the lawn and then you feel all good because you can see the lawn and you're like, I did that, and you feel good inside. I was trying to get that feeling. So I thought about cutting my hair, but then I was like, what if I lose motivation to cut my hair and then my hair is like halfway cut? Then I'm going to feel even worse. So I didn't want to do that because of the risk of not following through. So I was only willing to do stuff that I knew that I could accomplish successfully. And it still took me hours and hours and hours to build up enough success to feel like I could run a podcast with like good energy and bring good content. So that happens to everybody. It happened to me today, and I wanted to talk about it. So, yeah, I don't want to rant about this too much, but if that kind of stuff happens to you, it's okay. It's part of life, and I failed like I like had some text message conversations today that failed, and I was being a little ornery, a little off-putting, and it happens because I get in a mood sometimes, and kind of just needed to be left alone today, except for that Red Bull. That was very helpful. So be patient with yourself. If something doesn't work out, or if you feel unmotivated, that's okay. That happens. It's not always about being motivated. Sometimes you need to have discipline. Sometimes you need to try something new. Sometimes you need to step back and do something else. That's what I was trying to do today in all these different ways, and it worked out for me today. But it doesn't always work out. Sometimes I'm not able to do that, and then I try again the next day. But please believe in yourself. Please support people if you can, if you have the opportunity to. And remember to take care of yourself. Maybe all I did need, maybe I was just lacking sleep and I really did need those 4 naps. But whatever it was, I was able to record a podcast, and I'm even able to record this second one. So this is the Perspectal Podcast episode on the want, not want. I hope that this can help you, because some people, they think that like people like me just have motivation to do everything, and oh, you're so lucky, you're motivated to do. No, that's not right. I'm rarely motivated to do things. I do a lot of things, but I am rarely motivated to do things. So I don't want you guys to think like, oh, I don't. If I had motivation, then I would do stuff. But I don't have motivation. So like, it's not about whether or not you have motivation. It's about whether or not you can find a way to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way, and that way may be 4 naps and getting drunk and then taking a Red Bull. Which I'm not saying do that all the time. That's not something I do all the time. But hey, it worked today, and that's just how my life was today. So just me being honest and sharing a bit of my life with you guys. But whatever kind of day you're having, I hope that it's a real day. I hope that you're dealing with yourself and meeting yourself where you're at. I definitely met myself where I was at today. And I was like, look, you're feeling poopy. And I acknowledge that. And that's just what it is. I think we're going to try to do this thing that we said we were going to do today, which is the podcast. And as long as today is still a day, we're going to keep trying. And if we fail and fail and fail and fail, and then the day's over, then we tried. But I'm not going to try once, fail, and then be like, oh, let me just spend the rest of the day wallowing in my failure. I'm going to keep trying until the day's done. And it worked out today, and I'm glad about that, but it doesn't work out every day. I don't get a podcast out every time I try. Sometimes I try to go work out, and I drive to the gym, and then I get to the gym, and I'm still not motivated to go to the gym, so I just park in the parking lot and sit there and look at my gym bag, and then I'm like, yeah, not today. And then I drive away, because it doesn't work every day. But I go to the gym a lot. And I actually work out at the gym a lot because I'm motivated. I'm trying everything I can and failing and trying again and trying to honor the commitments that I made for myself. It's not all about motivation. So I hope you're having a real day. I hope you're meeting yourself where you're at. I hope you are finding out whatever works for you and doing that. And I hope that this concept that I'm explaining to you, the want, not want, is something that can help you with yourself, or help you with how you interact or view or sympathize with other people. But whatever happens, I hope that this is some food for thought, and maybe that it can turn into a good conversation somewhere down the road. I'll see you guys later.